All right, well, hey, families, we want to welcome you to our March family formation. Again, we're following with the 10 Commandments and what they mean and how we can live those out in our life. The last month we focused on the first three, and those were to, I am the Lord your God, you shall have no other gods before me. There was, you shall not take the Lord's name in vain, and to remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. And we spent quite a bit of time on those last month. And now we're going on to the next three. Steph, what are the next three commandments in the list?
So we've got the fourth, which is honor thy father and mother. We have the fifth, which is thou shalt not kill. And we have the sixth, which is thou shalt not commit adultery.
All right, well, perfect. Well, let's walk through those real quickly. So the first one is honor your father and your mother.
Ooh.
Parents really like this one.
I really like it. Sean and I were just commenting on how that one is perfectly positioned right after the three that all focus on our duties toward God and how God entrusted our children to us. And so it comes with utmost importance that children are loving God and obeying God when they respect and obey their parents.
Perfect.
So,
and you know, sometimes we look at it like, oh, maybe my parents have passed away. You know, you're a parent, and you know, what does that mean? Well, this commandment also talks about people who are in authority. So it can be your bosses, your teachers. Are we respecting those people as having authority, coming from our Lord to help mold us and guide us? And of course, you know, that doesn't mean if people are asking you to do sinful things, or if your parents or a teacher is asking you to do something that is against your dignity as a human person, that you have to do it. But within the bounds of, you know, normal everyday life, we need to give respect to our civil authorities, our government, our leaders, our bosses, our teachers, coaches, those that have been put in a position as, in a sense, parents to us in different ways to help guide us. And you know, I think beyond that, something that, you know, we can look at is, are we, you know, parents, are we taking our children to visit grandparents? Are we showing respect to our parents by helping our children understand the value that they have in our life? So are we taking care of them in their old age or as they grow? Or if they're ill, are we helping them out? So even if you're not in your parents' home, there are still ways that you need to honor them as they go through different stages of life.
And even praying for them after they've passed along.
Sure, yes, excellent.
So praying for the repose of their soul.
Yes, excellent points. And you know, maybe your parents don't live close, but are, you know, can you have your kids send cards on a regular basis, talk to them on a regular basis? And of course, a lot of grandparents now Skype and they do all the Facebook and things like that. So are you keeping your kids in contact and as part of their life? So you shall not kill. Well, I'm going to guess that the people watching this have not killed.
Yeah.
We would hope.
Yes.
So outright, but there's other ways that we can sin against this commandment.
Yes.
So what are some ways, Steph?
Well, like I've told my kids, how we say things. We can kill someone's spirit by being unthoughtful or just downright mean, or with bullying or anything like that. There's that killing of the spirit. So you have to be careful for that.
Sure, and then I think, you know, other ways could be using drugs or alcohol. Are ways, you know, and obviously having, you know, if you're an adult and you're over, you know, and you're of legal age, you know, if you want to have wine with dinner,
that's okay.
That's okay. That's not. But are you abusing those things?
Right. Everything in moderation.
Right.
Yes.
So those are ways that we can kill ourselves, encouraging people to do things. You know, if you're keen and you're trying to egg your friends on to doing things that they shouldn't do, that would be harmful for them. That's another way that we can kill someone. Have I injured somebody physically? You know, have I gotten into a physical fight with somebody
and have
hurt them? Not saying self-defense, but you know, we're going at it because, you know, even with your brothers and sisters, sometimes, you know, brothers especially will get into the deal where it maybe gets a little out of hand, you know, in terms of the arguments, and you know, those are things that we need to be careful of, and you know, and confess and bring to the Lord that I have a problem with my anger, or things like that.
And then for older kids, just, you know, are you helping someone secure an abortion?
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, are you promoting it, or in any way a part of, you know, driving them there, or encouraging them, or not giving them the support that they need.
Well, and even on that front, are we doing things to promote a culture of life within our communities? So, is there somebody we know that's in a crisis pregnancy that we can help out, you know, by showing them how to get to the life care center, or for helping them find the resources that they need to choose life? Are we supporting the things like the life care center when we do collections here at St. Pius, or Appalachia, or any of those type things? Are we creating a culture of life in our homes and in our communities by supporting people who are needing that help to get back on their feet, even if they made a decision that they shouldn't have, you know, made to get it themselves into that predicament.
Right.
You know, that we need to be wrapping our arms around them out of love to support that decision to choose life and help them find resources to care for their child or adoption, things like that.
Absolutely.
And then finally, so really it's a matter of this, you know, what the church has always said is, it's a matter of thou shalt not kill, are we choosing life from conception until natural death?
Yes.
And so we want to look at all aspects of those areas and saying, how are we building up that culture within our society?
I mean, it can even go to, are you eating properly, or you know, are you putting good things into your body? And so I mean, there's a vast, I mean, it encompasses a lot.
Sure.
And sometimes I think people look at thou shalt not kill and think, well, you know, I didn't slay anyone today. And,
right.
You know, so.
But there's such a broader way to look at that commandment and how we're treating other people and treating ourselves with respect and dignity for our life. And finally, you shall not commit adultery. Again, probably most people have not fallen into this, but that is also one where, you know, there's a broader aspect to this commandment than
just the act of adultery or being unfaithful. There's like we were discussing earlier, dressing modestly or presenting myself in a very positive way.
Sure.
You know, where you're not looked upon as an object, but as someone who is truly made in the image and likeness of God.
A lot of ways, and I think, you know, are we treating people as objects for our own gain, as opposed to daughters and sons of our Lord?
Yeah, and sisters and brothers. We're all sisters and brothers united to one another through baptism.
Sure. Yep.
So, so there's that, and I've always told the kids too. I'm like, you guys, before you watch a movie, or you know, listen to music and things like that. Sure, you're going to run into things that you're not aware of, but you know, to just say a little prayer, or you know, to ask God to bless people who are in positions like that, who are in, you know, who are just in circumstances like that. Sure. Also, too, I always said, you know, if the Lord was stripped of, you know, we think of the when Jesus was stripped and flogged and, you know, whipped, you know, in the scourging, and the scourging at the pillar. And I said to my kids too, I said, have you ever thought that, you know, not only is he being stripped of his garments, but he was literally stripped of his flesh, and he allowed that because the sin of impurity it means so much to him, and it means so much to God. So to give thought to that, you know, it wasn't just his clothes he was stripped of, but his flesh as well. So I don't know, my kids kind of walked and thought about that. I mean, it's not something that we really think of very often. So that was something. Also, too, another thing I think of, too, and I tell my kids is, in the Beatitudes, it says, blessed are the pure of heart, for they shall see God. So you think about that, and you think those who have the purest of heart maybe might not necessarily mean that God's going to just manifest himself in front of them, but that you can see God in one another, you can see God in circumstances, you can see God in nature, you can just see God in so many things that you're, that you just become aware of God throughout your day and in various, circumstances. And so I've always liked that beatitude.
Yeah.
Blessed are the pure of heart, for they shall see God. So,
excellent.
Yeah.
All right, so to recap, we have 3 commandments that we're going to be focusing on over the next month.
Yep.
And those are, we should honor our father and mother, and that we should not kill, but that we really need to protect life from conception until natural death.
Yeah.
In all the ways that encourages, and then you should not commit adultery, which is, how am I looking at others? Let's look at everybody as sons and daughters of God, our brothers and sisters, and treat them with respect and dignity, and be faithful to our states in life. So if we're single, we need to be faithful in our state of life as a single person, but and preserve ourselves for our future spouse.
If that's what
God calls you to do. And then if we're married, to remain faithful to our spouse. All right. So we've got some activities for you to do as well this month that will be coming out at the bottom of the email. And then next month we'll cover the last 4 commandments as we finish up our journey through the 10 Commandments. And